Hello, everyone. Welcome to Packers Postgame with LeRoy Butler. I'm Tom Silverstein, your host. I'm live at US Bank Stadium. You're in your cave, and I'm not sure. Are you going to come out of your cave after this one? That was quite a game, but you have to be pretty disgusted with the defensive play.
Well, coming in, they were number three. Total, but three against the pass, 13 against running the ball. But it seemed like to me the game plan since they lost to Dalvin Cook a couple years ago, stop Dalvin Cook and put it all on Kirk Cousins. Make Kirk Cousins beat you, and he had a phenomenal game. But I will also say Justin Jefferson, I think the people knew that he was a platinum receiver after last week, 9 catches, 143 yards, but it just seemed like they had no plan for him. And I think one of the things that maybe we'll touch on in X and O's on Tuesday, it seemed like to me they just played a lot of soft coverages, and then every now and then they would blitz and mix it up. Next time they play these guys, they need to go in and be a little bit more aggressive and don't give these guys so many free, clean releases. Because that's when they do these what we call level routes, one short, one long. And then you got to pick your poison, which one do you stop? For the most part, I would say that Minnesota had a very good game plan. Defensively, again, they had all the headlines coming into this game. But after all of that, you could have had 3 picks by Savage.
Yeah.
And had you get one of them and Mason Crosby make a field goal, you win this game, but you struggle with it like Cincinnati, like back and forth. And that's what I thought it was going to be. But when he caught it and then they went to commercial, I bet Packer fans were celebrating. But when they saw that he didn't catch it, it was very disappointing.
Yeah, and the other deep one to Jefferson, he had a chance to intercept as well, and looked like he just, instead of attacking the ball, kind of fell back and just let it come to him. And sometimes you got to go attack it, don't you?
Yeah, you almost have to, because you got to assume that receiver will see you there. He's going to play defense now. So you got to get it and just tuck it in. And, of course, the one he could have had down in the red zone, the one he did catch, you had, because I know a lot of people complaining about that call, but they're calling that both ways. Because when they hit Rodgers the same way, you got a penalty, but it was a touchdown. But they're going to call that if you hit the quarterback anywhere up in this area and take him down, they're going to call it.
So, we saw it very early on with Justin Jefferson where he's just crossing the field. We actually saw 2 plays. The first play of both first drive of each team, they had crossing routes where the guys were wide open. Remember, Devontae Adams was wide open on the first play of the game. And then Justin Jefferson comes back. Where is the disconnect that happens there? You said that they will run a deep route, to sort of influence the shallow cross, but what needs to get done there?
I think the most thing that catch you in your disguise, because one time Amos was up there as if he was going to blitz, but he got to get depth, and then they'll have somebody right in front of you and hope you jump it, and there's a guy behind you. You got to back up and play it deep to short. I get the fact you want to disguise, but don't let the disguise get you out of your coverage. And that's something they try to fix it on the sideline. But again, they were doing these high-level routes. And once you see that, every team is going to start doing it now. You remember when they couldn't defend the pick, and then they weren't good in the red zone. Teams are doing this, so they fixed all that, but resulted back into some bad habits. And I think that's for the most part. It seemed like, again, stopping Dalvin Cook in the fourth quarter, especially that last drive, you couldn't do it. And the frustration was this defense has been playing phenomenal. And then Douglas had a chance for interception on the sideline. Kurt threw it right to him, but he lost it when he turned around. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you think they were making these plays the last 5 or 6 weeks and wasn't able to make them today.
Yeah, and they were a half second too slow in getting to Kirk Cousins too. Remember, there was one where he has actually got hit, and he hit Jefferson.
Oh yeah.
They needed to be a half second quicker. Now, whether that's because Rashawn Gary was out or
Yeah.
what. I mean, one guy doesn't necessarily make the difference. I just wonder if it just was a situation where Minnesota was just a better team today.
Well, I don't know if Minnesota was a better team because he gave you
Today,
some opportunities and you didn't take advantage of it.
yeah,
He threw some balls right to Savage. I mean, you just have to. I mean, I will say this: so Preston Smith got to him a couple of times. Kenny Clark was dismantling guys up front, but and I know we can talk about who's not there. I get it, I understand it. And Jenkins goes out, Nash comes in. It is basically around the league, next man up. But once you're in there, if you can make the plays, you can beat this team. I mean, even getting falling behind in Aaron Rodgers, missed a few receivers early, but came back and was Aaron Rodgers of old and put you in position to win the game. MVS, that guy's been out for 6 weeks, it seemed like, but he had some big passes. And then I think for the most part, whenever it seems like you score in the 30s, you lose or it's a struggle. So you got to keep these games into the 20s, and that means the defense got to get turnovers. Because I think the record, I think LaFleur's record in the division when he gets a turnover is very good.
mm-hmm.
So if you can get turnovers on the road, especially, it would have been. It's a disappointing loss because it's Minnesota. It's a disappointing loss because you could have won it if everything would have just one of those interceptions, or they were the least penalized team, Tom. For all these penalties, it's just a head scratcher. And I remember you saying something in X and O, they were due for a clunker. I don't even know if this was it because it was one of those you had your opportunity and let it slip away.
Yeah, well, the reason it wasn't a clunker was because the offense kept them in the game.
Yep, that's true.
And on the day that the defense didn't play, the offense, they were slow out of the gate. And, I wonder if that's going to be an issue every week. Rodgers talked about his toe today and said he got stepped on, and he said it's in pretty bad shape. And that's why he went to the locker room early, because he wanted to get a start on the treatment.
Right.
And he said it really hurt him. And I wonder, in the weeks to come, is he going to have to miss more practice time? And then are they going to be slow out of the gate? That's an issue.
Yeah, I think they're monitoring it. Jordan Love is always ready to go, but with him, he's been a lot of arm thrower anyway, so he hasn't scrambled as much. But ain't nothing wrong with his arm, so he can still throw that thing. So, they just got to protect. But now Jenkins out. I think they think it may be feared as an ACL. I hope it's not. But maybe you can get Bakhtiari back next week, and then it's a smooth transition. I think what happens is, and we'll talk about this later, but his injury puts Bakhtiari on the fast track now because you want to maybe hold him out to after the bye week, but now he would have to play against the Rams next week with that defense and Von Miller and all those guys. And they got one of the best defenses with the Rams. But again, when you're 8-2, these kind of losses sting, but you have to look inside the numbers and find out why you didn't win these games. And once again, special teams has let you down again. This is the 8th kick that Mason has missed, and I don't see them making a change. So at this point, it is what it is. Both kickers actually wasn't that great, but the one kicker that made it at the end, that's the one that counts.
Yeah, and let's not forget he did make a 54-yard field goal, and it looked better. I was watching him in warm-ups. He hit one from 58 yards. The one he hit, I don't know. It just didn't come back. I think he thought it was going to come back a little bit, and it hit the inside of the goalpost. But that's not to make excuses for him. Yeah. I just, in a game like that, that is going to kill you when your special teams doesn't win. But I also just, I'm reading between the lines, and I'm an expert on that. Rodgers didn't sound that optimistic about Bakhtiari. So I wonder if they got a problem, on the offensive line. He can only suffer so many injuries before this thing, gets to you. Now, Josh Nijman has experience. He got a chance to start, then he got a chance to rest and just kind of gather himself. And maybe he can hold it the rest of the way. But they got to get together on that offensive line.
Yeah, the good thing about it is they got guys with experience that can put in there, but they got to get guys up on this practice squad and just have guys practicing just in case. Because at any time, COVID can hit, injuries. But Christopher had a question just a few minutes ago. He said injuries, I'm paraphrasing for him, injuries that's going to happen, but some of these season-ending injuries, those are the ones that are impactful. Injuries that got to be out for a few weeks, you're going to see that. But it's just the ones when a guy go out and then you don't see him for more than 3 weeks. Those are the ones that are very impactful.
I don't think there's a bigger one where if they got him back than Jair Alexander, because they need, as good as Rasul Douglas has played and King was okay, he got beat pretty badly by Thielen at the goal line. But Jair Alexander's a shutdown guy, and you can do things with your defense that you can't do when he's not in the lineup. And to me, that's the guy they got to get back more than anybody.
Yeah, that would be amazing if they got him back. But I think it more realistic for him is after the bye week.
Oh, yeah. I'm just talking about in general being back.
Yeah, because you're right. Because once you get later in December, I mean, you can't lose games in December if you want to get to the Super Bowl, because that puts you on that fast track and that ascending team that's hot going into the playoffs. But teams are going to throw on you. I mean, it's just the way that's the way it happens until you get to when the weather's bad. And that game was inside, but when you outside, when teams have to run because the weather's not that great, that's different. But whenever you play teams, the weather's pretty good, the 30 and up, they're going to throw the football because they're going to look at this tape and see, can they get those level routes, underneath routes, and things of that nature. But again, they kept Dalvin Cook in check, and it just seemed like they could not make a play. And when they did make a play, either it was a penalty or it was always an issue. But the 12 men on the field, on the defense, that's the kind of thing that really drive coaches nuts. I mean, because you're thinking that we got to get back on track and get the concentration level down. But I will say this, though. I mean, Lancaster, Lowry, Kenny Clark, these guys are playing hard. Campbell playing hard.
Preston Smith had his best game
Yeah, I think
in a clutch situation.
His best game, I agree. There are some things to build off of. You're giving up 34 points when you only gave up 34 points in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You got to go back and look at that, because that can be an issue, because you're going to play one of the most high volume offenses next week with Cooper Kupp and that group. They do a lot of movement. You're going to play the same offense you see every day. You're going to play that. So, but the Justin Jefferson thing kind of was a head scratcher. I thought they should have played more man than zone, because it seemed like the zone, the communication was not there.
Yeah. The other thing that I sort of took out of this is, I went back and looked at some of the games where Rodgers has thrown for 350 or more yards and multiple touchdowns. And this was probably as efficient a game as he has had with that many yards. Usually it's taken him 50 throws to get, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So from that standpoint, I wonder if they maybe have caught a little bit of backwind, with their offense. Maybe they now have a little bit of wind, behind their backs offensively. Of course, they gotta protect, but they did have a very efficient offensive game once, like, the first quarter was over.
Yeah, they really came out throwing the ball a lot. I thought they kind of established the run a little bit more and stick with it. But they were really, you can obviously see, Tom, they were trying to get MVS down the field on Breland. I mean, they were trying to get him open. They finally caught one on a great throw and a great read by Aaron Rodgers. And then they went back to Devontae Adams, trying to get him open. And things seemed to really open up for him. But the touchdown that DeGore caught was one of Aaron Rodgers' best throw of his career. That was a tight window. I was happy for DeGuara because it seemed like to me he'd be getting a lot of heat. People think he don't know the plays, so that was great for him. But again, without Aaron Jones, Patrick Taylor is your backup. But I will say this, Tom, 28 caught the ball very good for a running back. I mean, it was one thing I thought A.J. Dillon would get over his head. He caught it, and he got positive yards. So the coaches will strip away all that bad stuff and try to build on something positive. But at the same time, you're still first in the division, but you got a big, you're first in the North. You got a divisional NFC opponent coming in next week. You got to get healthy. But whoever's out there, you got to be ready to play.
Yeah, I also thought this a number of times that if Aaron Jones was in this game, there were some opportunities for some big gains, I thought. Now, it's not a knock against Dillon. He's going to get the 4 or 5 yards, but Aaron Jones is the guy who gets the big gains. And I thought I saw, or 15 instead of 5. And I thought there were opportunities there. So I don't think their offense is sunk. I don't think they're sunk as a team. I think the injuries are going to be an issue, but they played their rival toe-to-toe for 59 minutes and 57 seconds. And, sometimes you come up short. I think a bigger key is next week when they play the Rams. They have to win that game. This is where they can really bounce back, I think.
Yeah, no question about it. It'll be a little windy and cold. But Stafford's used to playing outside. He played in Lambeau Field before. But it's just like it's something about this team that you like. That they have a lot of fight in them. Because when they were down, 16-3 or something, a lot of teams would have folded. But they continue to fight and get back in the game. And at one point, you thought they were going to win it. But Savage couldn't come down to that interception. It seemed like to me they're rotating in with that 3 safety lineup because the one time they had Jefferson in the backfield, he was on black. That's a mismatch that they wanted.
Right.
So we got to figure out a way that when they put Cooper Kupp in the backfield, we got to go to something to where we don't put a safety or a linebacker on him. Just put a defensive back on him and just go with your chances.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they go with a third safety when you've got 3 corners that you like or 4 corners that can play. So that's something we'll see next week, whether they continue with that. So anyway, anybody you want to thank before we head out?
Yeah, pickandsafe.com. You can go there to get my award-winning vodka. We won another award this weekend, so I'm really proud about that, having the best vodka in Wisconsin. You can also pick up my brats there as well. And I really want you to check out next week we're doing what we call Stuff the Bus. You can go to any Pick and Save and buy a bag for $5, and it'll be donated to the to a food pantry in Wisconsin. So I'm pretty excited about that. And today we had a couple events. And this weekend, I got more vaccine events and more events. We gave away this weekend, we gave away over 500 turkeys and 500 hams with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shields of Milwaukee on the north side of Milwaukee. So I really want to thank Anthem for doing that because I was very emotional, Tom. I was one of those families doing Thanksgiving who had to go to some of the, some of these food pantries to get food. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fans for listening to us. But I can't wait for Tuesday so us to figure out these. We got to help the fans try to figure this out.
We will. We always do.
Yeah,
we always do. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Be sure you check out all our coverage on JS Online and Packers News, and don't forget to check in with us on X's and O's and 5 questions on Tuesday. And for LeRoy, I'm Tom. See you next time.
Bye-bye.